Symposium.
Yes.
Interesting thoughts you have brought earlier, interesting thoughts you're going to bring here, I know. So thank you.
I got it. Thank you.
Now, only thing what we do is we just put up what this symposium is about. I just put a picture up. Let's put the picture up, because the thing is that normally I start so abruptly that people don't even know what this guy is doing. It just starts with me speaking with the person. So what we are doing is, give me a second. Okay. So this is what we're doing, Juan. Of course, mediation legislation, the how, what, when, where, which, who, why of it. So every aspect of it, let's discuss that. And now we have 50 speakers from 30 countries right now. I am expecting more to come in, because it might might extend it also. So Juan, a little bit about yourself, and let's go straight to the topic: mediation legislation.
Good day, everyone. My name is Nguyen, and today I'm going to talk about mediation legislation. I have talked to through this live stream with Vikram for I think maybe 3 times already. So this is I think maybe the 3rd time or 4th time. Let me start talking about mediation legislation. So I believe that mediation legislation in Vietnam is a unique and progressive approach to resolve disputes. And also for myself as well, I also have a strong belief that mediation is a very effective approach to resolve disputes. So far in Vietnam, it has gained more popularity and trust in mediation in resolving disputes. In 2011, it has been officially introduced in Vietnam with the law on mediation and dialogue at the grassroots level. The law provides a framework for settling disputes outside the courtroom and encourages parties to reach a mutually beneficial agreement through mediation. So what makes Vietnam mediation legislation special is that it is one of the first countries in Southeast Asia to recognize the importance of mediation and to develop a comprehensive legal framework for it. The Vietnamese government has been actively promoting mediation as an effective and efficient way to resolve disputes. And in my experience as well, in several cases when people try to bring the cases to the courtroom, the judge would suggest to and promote mediation to resolve disputes, or to go to the local authorities for reconciliation before going to the court. So you can see that it is the way the Vietnamese government is promoting mediation as an effective and efficient way to resolve disputes. And as a result, mediation has increasingly becoming more popular and widely used for resolving disputes in Vietnam. And you can see that mediation the benefits of mediation are very clear, because first, mediation is less costly and less time consuming. When we organize mediation, it's mainly can take around few sessions between the two parties, and sometimes separately with each party. And then mediator will help them to negotiate and find down their own solutions, rather than if we go to the other ADR, alternative dispute resolution methods, like dispute resolution board or arbitration or the courts. Of course, arbitration to me is the most expensive method. It will require a lot of experts to calculate and analyze. For example, like myself, I'm in charge of construction projects. It will require like sometimes it's like $500,000 for the experts to calculate the progress delay, to calculate the cost for delay, or to calculate the actual damages. So it will require a lot of manpower involved if you go to arbitration. However, you can see that even though there's some progress so far in Vietnam promoting mediation, but there's still some lack of understanding about the role of mediators in Vietnam. Some people don't understand, even lawyers and the general public, they do not understand 100% and sometimes underutilize the role of a mediator in dispute resolution. Because I can give you an example. Some lawyers may advise their clients. This has also happened to me as well, in my experience as well, that if you go to the court, you can get better result in your case, for example. So a lot of lawyers would analyze that your case is strong, so you should go to the court rather than go through mediation. And some clients actually, you know, some companies, very big companies, they have a lot of board members, so they need a statement. They need a statement from a third party rather than a mediator to resolve the dispute. That's why they want like a statement saying whether they are right or wrong and how much would be the damages. And another challenge that I also experienced so far is to improve the quality of mediation services in Vietnam. To be honest, like some mediator may not have been, I mean, of course, it's not necessary for every mediators to be trained properly. However, some of them are sometimes trying to lead and advise. For me, mediators do not act the role as an advisor. Mediators act the role as a facilitator to help people, to help the two parties to sit together and analyze, like bring up their mindsets, understanding what led to the situation today and how the two parties can resolve, what is the middle way for two parties to meet each other, rather than to tell them, hey, you are right or wrong, hey, your case is strong, you need to do like that. We do not act as an advisor. So sometimes it creates some complex disputes, some complex situations if we do like that. A lot of people ask questions, and this one is also still a kind of like controversial in Vietnam and all over the world. Mediation should be mandatory or not. You know, in the UK, actually, JCT contract is a form of construction contract. They use mediation also a part in the dispute resolution as a suggestion. And in some countries now, already mediation have been placed as mandatory for dispute resolution, like Italy, Turkey. However, it's not compulsory in Vietnam. And for me, my opinion is that in the world, there's nothing should be compulsory if they're not unlawful acts. What I mean is that mediation process is a voluntary process. it should be always a voluntary process, a willful act. When people think that it is necessary, it is beneficial for them, then they actually can sit seriously on resolving the disputes, listening to each other, even if you put it as a mandatory process. But like in one of my cases as well, it is just a suggestion from the court, from the judge, that you should sit together with a mediator to resolve disputes. But the other party, they didn't. They just came and then they shouted and then they complained. So even is a suggestion or is mandatory, it will not work if the parties do not voluntarily cooperate. So in conclusion, I can say that Vietnam's mediation legislation is a significant step. It is good to manage and promote a more peaceful and collaborative approach to resolve disputes. And we have challenges. We also will, I think, hopefully in the far future, like myself, I am trying to promote more with my knowledge and spread out the my understanding of how a proper mediator should be with among my circle of friends. And hopefully we can improve the quality of mediation and improve the understanding and also the mindset of the public about mediation in Vietnam. Thank you.
It's not going to be, there's lots more which will come from you, because one, of course, look, you use parties, and I've been saying, let's not use parties, let's say participants, because parties definitely comes from the court system, and that adversarial thing, we've already started with an adversarial terminology, so let's try and do that. But you're saying that basically you're looking at it from the way that the mediation is conducted, whether it is the mediator should evaluate or advise or suggest. I mean, various words like that can be used. I mean, do you think there is a role beyond just facilitating that conversation? Do you think suggestion is not something that Vietnam would prefer, that the mediator suggests something?
No, I think that if we do free mediation style, of course, without any control, of course, you can do whatever you want, whatever a mediator can do. But because I have been trained with CIRB, and the rules are very clear. The roles of a mediator is very clear. What a mediator can do and what mediator cannot do. And for me as well, when I've been trained as a professional mediator, I've been trained to say to the clients that if they ask for an advice, ask for a legal advice, like, do you think that what I'm doing is wrong or right? I would say that I'm so sorry, I'm here. It's not to give you an advice. You can consult with your lawyer your case. However, I am here as a very neutral mediator to facilitate and to give you questions and brainstorm how we can resolve these disputes together with the other side.
Because I'm thinking that maybe that is what is wrong in the way mediation is being promoted and being conducted. Maybe this hasn't worked because, I mean, Saya will be based in the UK? They're based in the UK, is it?
Yes. Yeah,
yes. And what is the situation in UK? In the whole year, there are 17,000 mediations, and some 200 mediators are the only ones who have worked there. So there is something fundamentally wrong the way it's being conducted, or something somewhere which I think needs to be brought into, because it's nice to put these things out that this is the way you have to conduct it. But what do the people want? Let's look at that, because people are not getting mediations. Mediators are not getting work. There's some 18,000 certified mediators in the UK. If 200 have work, there's some fundamental problem there. I think that needs to be looked at. But let's not, I mean, to a certain extent, it's connected to legislation, but right now we won't get into that part. But that's a big issue as to how it's being perceived by people, because finally the user is the other people. The user is not the mediator or the mediation world. So I think we need to,
Yeah.
of course, study that. But you said there is some legislation at the grassroots level. Something more on that? How does that work?
So actually, it works in the way that yes, mediators in Vietnam need a certificate, needs to be trained, and they are registered to several levels, local authorities level and central levels, and in some centers, and we have also Vietnam central centers for mediators as well, and also they are international recognized. However, of course, it depends on the public awareness and also awareness receipt about or what kind of training should be given to mediators, but that is from the legislation.
Because I'm just thinking that, has legislation in any way helped the whole promotion of mediation, or what is, because look, finally legislation or no legislation, the popularity or the usage of mediation is what we want. And training and all, look, I criticize that aspect, because we can't get one's mindset in a training. No person can train anyone to become one. She has a mindset, she has that whole mediator mindset, and I don't think you can do 5,000 hours also and get that mindset. So I
Yeah,
have a,
I don't disagree with a mindset saying that sometimes a natural mediator without any training will be better. So actually, I really like the training from CIRB, because the way they trained is they didn't give a lot of theory. They just allowed people, I mean, the trainees to do role plays, and then they will give like suggestions how you improve, how you can get and come to a conclusion, which is I think very helpful. Of course, sometimes this will create a little bit of gray confusion between like whether this is considered as advice or whether is it considered as you are trying to like manipulate the mindset of the parties or to your clients. So yeah, I mean, however, my opinion is still mediators should act really professionally and neutrally.
because I think, one, what we really need to discuss is that all those things that you went through in your training, now all that material and all those things that are told to you, if it is now put into a machine, and of course artificial intelligence where it is, if you are not actively involved as a human being, what purpose are you really serving? Can machine learning and artificial intelligence take the place of the kind of mediators that are attempted to be created by these trainings? Because they will have that machine will have access to the best in the world, all content in the world, all training in the world, if they can have. So maybe because the point is that finally, do human beings connect with human beings, or is it a process laid down in very structured form? This is what you have to do, in this case you have to do, then let the machine do it. Why do we need human beings to do that part? I mean, I'm just thinking, I just just a thought.
Yes, I think that there are some merits and demerits of whether people should go through a training or not. Of course, before having the training, I already had some mediation experiences. So I just got a question in my mind that what it is the proper way to do mediation. And that's why I entered the course. And, the, it gave me a lot of confidence. The course gave me a lot of confidence and knowledge of different ways of other mediators in the world practice these professionalism, and actually it is also very good for me to learn some tactics Of course, I believe that a robot can do as a mediator. However, it cannot replace the role of a human being with emotions. Because the very important part and factor of a successful mediator is to be able to building a rapport, and second is to show empathy with the clients, which probably a robot may not be able to show that.
But one, that's exactly what you're saying that you are told in your training not to do. Someone is reaching out to you in a mediation saying, one, please tell me, what do I do? What would you do in my position? Anything they can ask you. And you say, no, I have this role. I can't hold your hand. You are falling down the cliff. You go. But I've been told I can't hold your hand. I'm just saying that maybe that part of it needs to be ruler. I mean, well, two things are happening. The mediation training industry is doing very well because that's what they keep doing. And people like you connect to that because you have that mindset. So yes, skill development part of it definitely helps you because that's what you are. But on the other end, what that industry is doing, telling people, we will make you a mediator. And I have a problem with that because then that certification aspect, that legislation picks up and say, oh, this certification is required for you to be part of it, is because someone is saying, I'll make you something. So basically, the people who have the mindset are left out. The people who can go for these trainings, even I'm sure they're costly trainings. So you create a class distinction. The ones who have that certification and the ones who actually on the ground are actually doing mediations, the user is having a good experience, and that a lot of that is happening. We disregard that. So we create a class distinction of people who don't have work, but they've given certifications. And the people who have work, they don't have certifications, the user experience they're giving, oh, they're not mediators. These ones are the mediators who actually, it seems that people have not preferred because, like I said, there is no work for them. Either you are saying that you've created something where, yes, there is work happening for them, perfectly all right, but don't mislead them. I'm telling you this, they are misleading those people, they are misleading legislators also. Legislators are told that this is what is required to create this into a structured process. Is it that kind of process at all? Needs to be debated. That's why legislation is important to discuss, because I know that legislators are also, in a way, being maybe misled. There are vested interests to do that. If today you say that in your legislation certification is required, someone has to provide that. So you've created an industry for them. But finally, does it transform into work? Because I think, look, point is that there is no, I mean, if there's activity on the ground that is actually happening on the grassroots level, and we take those people with us and we have skill development programs, but finally the mediators are going to be people that people trust. It has to be on trust. There is no other way to do it. So why not the people that they trust, let them be available, and in some way maybe strengthen that part. Because if you say grassroots is where some things are happening, I think those are the people at the grassroots level we need to strengthen instead of creating class distinctions. Because that is when one, you were in the symposium on colonization, decolonization. This is legislation connected to colonization and that mindset, that we will tell you who will be your mediator. Someone is sitting in my house, I call two people, trust someone, they bring that person, is you can't trust that person. We will tell you whom to trust. We will certify the person you trust. I mean, that's really a colonizer's mindset. This is a people's process. Please leave it to the people. They will find the people they trust. You are not being able to do it in countries where thousands of people you have put that through that process of certification and everything. There's a fundamental problem. But one, it's your
Yeah.
session. I should be not be saying so much.
I just would like to clarify a little bit my statements. Being empathized, empathetic doesn't mean that you can you won't, or being neutral doesn't mean that you do not allow your clients to be able to show their emotions or sobbing. So I mean that mediators or myself still listen. We allowed the clients to talk and talk out what are they thinking, and then we will slowly calm them down, empathizing them and asking questions so that they can themselves understand by answering those questions. For example, the client may think that they are correct. However, we can ask, what did you do all of these? Whether you already have a schedules in under the contract, and then ask all the questions, and they may recognize that yes, what they have done are not 100% perfect, and they also admit that in every dispute, sometimes it's caused by both sides. It's not just one party. Of course, I do not focus much on whether having a certificate or not having a certificate is correct or not correct, or trying to form yourself in a certain, clear standard is correct or not. I don't want to focus on that. I just want to mention about what is happening in Vietnam and what is happening within my my environment. And maybe yes, I don't have experience in doing mediation in family cases or social cases. My focus is mainly a lot in legal cases, contractual cases, which are very important to do and act professionally and what, because if a mediator in construction contract do not act professionally, they even could be, all of what they have done, the products that they have done could be brought up. So my suggestion is still to be acting very professionally and carefully with the clients, because every single result in this process with construction, and it will bring a lot of differences in terms of costs.
Because I think one thing is, of course, you'll do well as a mediator in any kind of thing. You'll do commercial or you do family because you have the mindset, and the mindset is what is required. But the important thing that we have to put out there, I mean, again, I'll go a little bit into that certification because you spoke about legislation. In training, that will tell you the mediator is neutral. And now that by itself is more than 40 hours of debate, because I had a symposium on neutrality and mediation. So that part of it is so easy to put it out there because we don't have time. Oh, mediator has to be neutral. Debate that. Mediators, if they don't debate this aspect of it, the mediation by itself doesn't progress, because these are very basic words that are used very casually. But what I would, in conclusion, what you have to tell us is, because you work on projects and everything, what is the kind of legislation you think should be there in relation to think of it from a project perspective? What would you want legislated? What you would not want legislated in relation to a project? Say it's a project.
I just think that we don't need to have a very strong legislation in mediation. As I share, mediation is a voluntary process. So if you put it as a mandatory process before the courtroom, it sometimes may not work if the clients do not go through it 100%. And of course, it will also depend on, maybe some mediators are very good. They can calm them down, they can take them to a separate room and then talk to them, and then they can understand, they change their mind. But to my opinions, it should not be part of a mandatory process under the legislation. However, under the contract, I would really suggest, I agree with the JCT contracts format, that mediation should be before courtroom.
But because why I asked you about the projects was that in a project, there might be some individual that those people trust, and could be, say, just a surveyor, a civil engineer, an architect, whoever, whom they trust, that can come and help them resolve it. So for myself, I mean, the way I look at projects also, that the people can bring in whoever they feel that is actually someone would understand them, they have a relationship with, maybe in the industry they have a relationship. So one is, for me, legislation should not stop them from bringing that person in, because though that is the person they trust, and we can't put someone else into the picture because we think that person should be trusted by them. That never happens. It can't happen. So I'm looking from that perspective. But the other things that need to be legislated in that process, because I have spoken about it in the post also, I put out the Indian legislation that confidentiality protected being a without prejudice the process, and mediator not being brought into as a witness is for me although that is required. Party autonomy, who they want to bring in is up to them. How the process happens is up to them. And because it's a mediation, you don't like the process, you can move out. You can tell the person, look, I'm not looking at this from you. So I'm just saying how basic should be. That's why I put that post out for that. You have a look at that, so we can then from there take it up from there. Yep. So thank you. Yeah.
A challenge in Vietnam that in order for us to find a mediator that we can trust, it's not easy. To be honest, it's not easy, especially when two parties are very big and involved with many people. We cannot say that, yes, you trust this person and I also trust this person too. So in order to find, because in Vietnam, there are not so many mediators in the construction industry, I can say. So we have some cases as well, and we try to find not really 100% a mediator, but we struggle to find some that have experience in construction projects. So I can say that sometimes it's helpful to register a mediator, to register to a center, we have the Vietnam Mediator Center, so that people can search through and then show their experience, that which is very important. But I mean, in my experience, in order to find the people that both parties can trust is very difficult.
So that's a process part of it. We'll have a look at it because Judge Halim is here. His session starts, so I'll have to get him in. Judge Halim, please come in. So thank you, Juan. Pleasure speaking to you. We'll continue this discussion. On 19th, there's a workshop. Please come in. We'll have a discussion on what kind of competence.